What's up, everybody? Simon here. In this episode, we're going to talk about winner states and loser states in terms of the best state to do business and make money. Let's get right into it. Okay, so the winner states, we kind of all know these states already based on the mass migration that's been happening from the pandemic era. Texas is one, Florida is another, Tennessee, with Nashville being the fastest growing state. Nashville is booming, America's #1 growing city. That's incredible. Florida, South Beach has boomed as well with some of the highest real estate prices. I recently read an article that they've added over 18 million millionaires. Yeah, 18 million millionaires. And Florida is no stranger to acquiring top talent or successful talent to their state. And that is what California and New York don't realize, who most will call a loser state at this point, a state where no one wants to do business at or with. Imagine being a hedge fund, an investment firm, a capital firm. You're not going to start up your company in New York. You're not going to start up your company in California anymore and be scrutinized to all these policies for the pro-employee states, pro-politics states in terms of taxation. So there's just not as much opportunity for a company to be as successful in a state like California or New York than in a state like Florida, Texas, Tennessee, Arizona, Nevada, and some of the other states. Comment below which states you think are the best states to start a business. I will say that California was voted 50th worst state, which is 50 out of 50 worst state in America to do business in. And that's because of the super high employment rates, super high taxation on businesses, lack of legal protection for businesses in terms of what businesses can and cannot do. Now, recently in California has put a $20 minimum per hour on fast food restaurants that do not bake their own bread, which is very interesting how that got in there. However, $20 an hour fast food prices. Now, it may seem like it's no big deal. However, some restaurants have closed because they just cannot afford the cheaper labor at $20 an hour. Now, also what it does is it takes away from all the other employees. Let's say you're already making $20 an hour and you're a good employee. Well, now everybody's making $20 an hour. You have to get a pay raise. So now employees that went from $20 are maybe making $22, $25. And those that are the bottom or the lower end employees in terms of hiring are at $20. This shut down some pizza places in California. And on top of that, basically priced them out with labor on how many pizzas they can make, produce, and still be able to pay the utilities, the employees, and so forth. So California is one of those states that's a loser state. New York is a downright loser state. And this is all sparked by the controversy very recently of the famous court case that's happening with Trump and his evaluation of a property in Mar-a-Lago only being at 18 million, where Trump's getting sued for having this place and overestimating its value according to the judge. According to everyone else, including Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary and some of these other people, that is a crazy overestimate or underestimate. And there has been no fraud committed according to him. Everybody that has real estate values their property and then appraisals come in and revalue the property. But a state like New York has decided to punish a person who said, my property I think is worth X amount, and then got a loan on that property. And it's actually up to the bank to convince themselves whether or not they want a loan on the property. So New York has become a loser state for the reason being that they're scaring real estate developers, real estate investors. I mean, imagine being a real estate developer. You're not going to go ahead and put your money in New York or even California if such a potential lawsuit could come out where you can't value or estimate your property. So pro-business policies are going to win in winner states like Florida and Texas. Tesla has moved from California to Texas. A lot of hedge funds and tech companies have moved from California to Florida and including Texas. However, pro-business policies are the key. Now, the second part between winner and loser states seems to be crime. Crime in California is through the roof, and crime in states like Florida and Texas are more under control because of the policies in prosecuting crimes. So when you have district attorneys that are not prosecuting petty theft or small crimes, it leads to bigger crimes. So states like Florida have less crime. They're a bit safer in terms of the amount of crime per capita. States like Texas also a bit safer in terms of crime per capita or per person. So crime is a big establisher of which states are winning and which states are losing. And I got to tell you, California, with their lack of policies for crime, and New York are two states that are losing that battle, with Florida, Texas, Nevada, and some of the other states that are pro-police or pro-law enforcement are winning. So California, once known as the Golden State with tech booms, real estate booms, you name it, great coffee, they rivaled Seattle, is now a state people are considering leaving because of high costs, crime, lack of pro-business policies, lack of landlord policies. I had a tenant that sued in California. All lawyers represent tenants. It's so difficult to get a landlord attorney because there are no favors in San Francisco, particularly for landlords. People that are tenants have all the rights. They could squat, they could stay in your house, and by the time you get a judge's order to evict them, years are going to go by. Well, guess what? That bank is still expecting a payment, and the bank doesn't care if you leased your property to a non-paying loser. So all of the sudden, you're underwater with your mortgage payment with the bank because you have a squatter on your hands. And policies in San Francisco, California are enforcing that and enabling these people to have those type of policies, to have that type of right. You can't fight it. So guess what? A hedge fund company, a development company, they're not going to build in California. Who wants to own a property where the rules are so swayed in one direction that you're not able to go ahead and pay your mortgage? New York and California were the biggest and best states to live in probably 15 to 20 years ago. I would say they boomed. Not only did we have the tech sectors, we have the beautiful weather in California. We had a good rate of low crime, great schools. People were nice. There's different types of food, all sorts of beautiful areas to hike, visit. You had Napa Valley. You had all these hiking trails, mountains, Lake Tahoe nearby, etc. You have Los Angeles where you could go and had Hollywood. But California in recent years just is not what it used to be. It's gotten dirtier. It's gotten more violent. It's gotten unsafe. There's a huge drug and homeless problem in California. And it's a sanctuary city, so it's inviting all, or sanctuary state, I would say. Yeah, I would say sanctuary state with sanctuary cities and counties in there, where they're inviting all sorts of illegal immigration, which is pricing out legal immigrants from jobs and so forth. And it's depleting the taxpayers' dollars who are paying the property taxes, yet all these people are running around that are not supposed to be here. And on top of that, they're inviting all the homeless over because it's legal here. Now, Florida put a ban on homeless encampments, making it a crime. And that bill was recently signed. California has an open encampment policy, particularly San Francisco, where it's just so difficult with all these advocacy groups to get people off these homeless encampments and stop all of this drugs that are flowing through our borders as well as our cities. So San Francisco, one of the nastiest places, has started to become of it. Sadly, it has its days where it looks beautiful, and then it has its days where you drive in and you're like, oh my God, how could this happen? New York, very similar. You have different policies, but I will say New York is so big, you could get away from all that. You could drive around New York and not see the homeless encampments or the drug zones or any of that. You have such great restaurants in New York. New York is huge. So New York City, for example, is such a big place, Manhattan, you don't have to deal with that on that level. Where in San Francisco, you could go from 5 minutes in one area to 5 minutes in another, and it could be a third world country. So in order for San Francisco and for California and New York to get competitive again, they need to change up their policies. We have to be pro-business, so offering tax incentives for corporations to stay, offering incentives for rich or wealthy individuals to not leave, because once they leave, they take their tax dollars. We have to fight crime with stronger policies in terms of law enforcement and enforce those with the judges, where these people are not allowed to do mass looting and so forth. And we really need to tackle on the homeless situation and the encampments as well as the drugs. If those states could do that, and I mean California and New York, then California and New York has a big potential of competing with states like Florida again. Now, finally, taxes. Of course, a lot of people that are wealthy leave because they don't want to pay the state income tax. And if you ask about what does that tax really do for you, I would say it's a waste of money. You could get a great lifestyle in Texas, New York, Nevada, etc., and not have to pay that extra tax, which is pretty interesting. You be the decider. Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. Now, if you enjoy these type of topics, check out the Ideal Hour podcast on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts, where we have great guests to discuss these type of topics as well. Thanks for watching.